Chris Billy, Huddersfield Town! The most famous goal of Chris Billy's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Thank you.
Champion Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted. Skipper Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Post-Match Recovery Show. We're back on your screens today after a few stints on X, on Spaces. Back on the screens today and going to speak about Town's 5th defeat in 6 games. It's Wednesday and last night Town put on a rather unsavoury performance. 2-0 loss at home to Blackpool, and all of a sudden, everyone's panicking. Joel, nice to speak to you again, mate. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, miserable to say the least. That was really pathetic last night, if I'm being honest. I think after Northampton, we said it after Northampton. Duff said it. Tom Lees said it. I'll be a bit, unmotivated from Tom Lees in the press conference, but we'll look past that. But we wanted a reaction, and that was there's a reaction, and then there's the opposite of a reaction, and the opposite of a reaction is what we got last night.
Completely. Obviously, Saturday was not pleasant. I think everyone came to the game. I admitted it on X, on Spaces, saying I thought Town were going to turn up. Easy 2-3-0 win. And once Michael Hellick scored that own goal, it was downhill, and I don't think Town have really picked themselves up from that. Just made 3 changes that I thought were warranted. Hogg, Evans and Marshall coming out for Kane, Ladapo and Hodge. And I think maybe at 6:45 everyone thought, yeah, this is a positive change. It's good because they're probably the 3 players that you wanted to come in. Definitely we did speak about those 3 players. Ladapo was given his opportunity from the off. Hodge was, and I thought that's slightly overdue because he's looked decent in some of his performances. And Herbie Kane coming back from an injury, we know what he can bring, creativity, spark. Unfortunately, none of that last night. But initially, before a ball was kicked, it looked like positive changes, and it looked like Michael Duff realised that something had to give.
Yeah, we said it, that we wanted to see changes, and when that team sheet came out, I thought, yeah, fair enough. He's sort of gone away from the team he's been using. He's dropped Evans. He's gone for something a little bit different up top rather than Karoma and Marshall. It's positive. He's given players a chance, and usually when you give players a chance, they tend to sort of step up and really try and seize it. But the changes had no impact last night. I think it's not unreasonable to say that Ladapo and Kane certainly were probably 2 of the worst players on the entire pitch. Hodge, credit to him. I think, again, he showed why he should be starting, and he showed why he's part of a Premier League academy. His ability on the ball, his ability to move us up the pitch was something we've not seen in a long time. He made changes last night, and I think after last night, he's going to need to make even more changes for Reading because the changes he made, it wasn't enough.
I agree. You said in the notes here, changes in lineup, but no change in performance. And I think that's quite an accurate summary of Huddersfield Town last night. It's hard. It's really hard because, Town won the first 4 games of the season. I don't think we conceded many goals. We scored in every single game, scored more than 1 in every single game. We looked really encouraging. And then we went to Walsall, and for some reason, I think the events of that game and the way it was turned around and the way Town fans saw that another team can really smash and grab it, get on top of us. Since that performance, rather, we've not really looked ourselves again. I mean, we've gone to Doncaster where everyone wasn't expecting a win, and they've beaten us there. Yes, we've gone and battered Bolton, but in hindsight, was it because we were really, really good, or was it just because they were really bad on the day? I'm going towards the latter now. We've shown we can put teams away, and we've shown. I'm not saying that Bolton we didn't play very well, but looking at it more holistically now, 5 losses out of 6, and there is cracks in this team now. It is very evident. We're not losing games because we've been unlucky. We're losing games because teams better than us.
Yeah, in my opinion, this is going to sound harsh because we've won 4 games in the league, but I think we've only had 2 good performances all season, and they came against Peterborough and Bolton. And there's an element, and Duff talked about it, about us being at home. If you want to go up, if you want to do well in this league, your home has to be a fortress. And I think the John Smith Stadium right now has got to be one of the easiest stadiums to come to in the entire league, because fans are there, and instantly before a ball's even been kicked, it's negative. It's the players look scared stepping out onto that pitch. And I think the 2 performances that we've put in against Bolton and against Peterborough away from home, they're similar teams in the way that they set up. They want to play out from the back. They want to dominate the ball, and they're there to be pressed. And I think that suits us, and we can press them, and we can get in their faces, and we can make life difficult for them, and we can perform well against teams like that. But the minute where maybe it's more on us to take the initiative and go and win the game by creating our own chances and creating our own opportunities, we really struggle. And there were signs against Shrewsbury, against Stevenage, that was the case. We managed to get over the line in those games. But recently, in the cup games and last night and on Saturday, we found it hard to break teams down. We found it hard to create chances. And when your defence isn't as solid as it maybe once has been, because teams might have worked out how to play against us, you're going to find yourself in a world of trouble.
I agree, and I think Blackpool really, really did well in the sense of Steve Bruce and his team came knowing what they needed to do. They're looking for 3 wins in a row. They beat Charlton last week, and not even last week, 3-4 days ago now, and they've come to Huddersfield, and I think their fans, even before the first whistle was blown, they probably knew, we can get something here. They came with a really, really organised game plan. Now, our back line isn't the quickest, but their front men were around the corner and through those lines so quickly last night, and they were going direct, they were going through the midfield, they were so much better on the ball than Town. And there were points where, maybe even before half time, I can't remember because my head was on Mars, but they were allaying us in our own back, in our own back garden. I think before half time, when they'd gone 2-0 up, the body language that our players displayed, certainly after going 1-0 down, if not 2-0 down, was that of the team who had been there before. I know we've had not wholesale changes, but significant change to the structure and the personnel of this team this summer. But I think everyone knows in the back of their mind what happened last season, and that body language last night was kind of reminiscent of last year. There was 11 players stood there after the other team has scored, really with no hope whatsoever. And I don't think that's an overreaction. We had no initiative to take the game, put it into our own hands, and act upon our mistakes at all. It was like Blackpool came here and turned up for a training game. That is literally the only way I can put it. And I'll say it now. Duff said on Saturday, we need to get back on the horse. And if and it's happened, if we come on Tuesday and lose the game, I hope it's not because we've been overrun, and we were completely overrun. it's attitude and ability in football. If you've got ability, that's great. But if you're not cohesive as a unit and you don't display that attitude and that want to run, to literally leave everything out there, you're not going to get anywhere. You're certainly not going to get to the Championship at all, because that's not the attributes that promotion team have at all. I mean, it's literally as simple as that.
Yeah, this league's difficult to get out of. I mean, we've seen it over the past few years. You need, high end of 90s in terms of points to actually get out of the league, and it's a long season. It's mentally challenging, and you need players who are resilient and who can, lose a game like losing 3-1 to Northampton at home, but then they've got a home game on Tuesday. They've got a chance to put it right, go and smash them, 4-0, get the fans back on side, and really, carry on that momentum and get towards that level of points that you need. And I just don't think, our club as a whole is capable of doing that. The fans in the stadium, we struggle in the first half. We're 2-0 down at half time. And, we're thinking, no one's thinking, we can get back into this. We've shown signs, there was
nothing. There was nothing. There was no signs.
Yeah.
There was literally nothing at all to indicate that we are going to get back in this game. Nothing.
No, and it's depressing. And like you said, it's reminiscent of last season where teams would turn up to our stadium, they'd score a few goals, we'd be sitting on our hands going, oh, well, we're here again, we're 2-0 down at the John Smiths, is what it is. And it's going to take a lot, and it's going to take a good run of form at home for fans to maybe start changing their mentality. I don't think there's not been a time really, maybe under Warnock and I guess probably under Carlos when we actually were a good football team, where fans, we could go 1-0 down, we could go 2-0 down, and maybe we still had some hope. Maybe we thought, get a goal, we can get back into this. But that is just not the case nowadays, is it?
No, it's true. It's spot on, mate. It's really spot on. It's all about cohesion, really, and I think that brings us on to the first goal. I'm just watching it back here. So Kane's, I think it is Kane. He's tried to clear the ball or pass to Corona. It's a weak pass. It's not accurate, and that brings everyone out. Sorensen's been dragged out. Now we'll get onto the fight at the back formation later on, and specifically Sorensen and whoever's playing on the left-hand side. He's dragged himself out. Now, once he commits, that's it. He's committed. He's been stepped past, and Blackpool are on the ball. I think Kane's gone in for 2 tackles or whoever it is. I've not got great eyesight with the highlights.
Kane, yeah.
I think it is Kane. First tackle, yeah, right. He's not got it. You go again. He's missed the ball. We've got, and I've just frozen it. We've got 4 players in the box, 5 players, 4 players around their one man who scores. Not one of them is aware that player, I think is it CJ Hamilton who nods it in? No, it's Kyle Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph.
Not one of them is not one of them is aware that Joseph is there. Headley is stood there looking at him, literally staring at him. They all freeze, and it's a simple header. And they're stood there like, oh wow, what's happened there?
It's unbelievable.
It is. It's literally like, it's unbelievable. It looked better from where I was sat because I was level with the Blackpool player who crossed it in. But watching it back on that highlight and seeing them all stood there like something's just come down from the moon and introduced himself like an alien or something. They look so shocked. Why are you shocked? Why are you shocked? You've not moved. It's an easy goal. I'm a 1-0 down. And it's literally, it's deserved. It's so deserved because we showed nothing at the other end.
No, and that first goal was just a calamity. The errors. Sorensen drags himself out to a ball he's never going to get to, which then leaves Hamilton exposed on the left-hand side. It then requires Kane to come over and make some attempt at tackling him. I mean, Kane's he's like an attacking midfielder. He's not in like a right-back position against a tricky winger. Like he struggled, and he did struggle, right? And then the ball comes in. Tom Lees, I'm pretty sure it is, moves like as the ball comes in to mark an empty space where there is no one. Joseph's over his shoulder, and then Joseph's found himself like in between Longwyke and Lees, and found himself on the end of the cross, and the ball's in the back of the net. Like there's 4 players there who all can take some blame from a cross and a header. Like someone has to take responsibility there, and I think maybe if Helik's on the pitch at that point, he's heading that clear. But Helik wasn't on the pitch, and certain players have to step up and take a responsibility to defend your box. It's basic.
You've got to step up. I mean, let's make no mistake. The premature loss of Helik, I think after 15 minutes or so, it's substantial. I mean, he is such a big character now at the club. He's found himself in that position where we rely, not solely, but we rely massively on Michael Helik. He steers the ship. That being said, if you don't react when he's off, you're going to find yourself in bother. You're going to find yourself in so much bother. And on top of that, if you don't keep the ball properly as a team, you're going to find yourself 2-0 down. That's what we've done. That second goal, everyone knew it was coming. I don't think we deserve to be just 1-0 down at half time. But to be so sloppy in midfield, it's an insult to those who have turned up on a Tuesday night when, understandably, I think it was only 17,000 last night. Sit down, watch it on Sky Sport Plus. That's what they've done it for. 20 games a season, all that jazz. You sit there, you sit in your warm house with a cuppa or something stronger, and you're fine. Us idiots, and I'm sure there were 17,000 more, have come out Tuesday night, absolutely freezing, by the way. I underestimated it last night. It's always colder when your team loses, isn't it? And to be 2-0 down at half time, but in that fashion, was completely and utterly unacceptable. I mean, yeah, we've lost the ball in midfield, but then as a unit, you need to get back better. Brodie Spencer reacts way too late, like he doesn't even know who's behind him.
Yeah.
And, it's little things. It's literally the split-second things. And CJ Hamilton, he finds the ball in front of him in literally no man's land. I think it's Leeds tries to get across. It's too late, and it's 2-0. And boos ring. Blackpool fans are over the moon. I bet they're thinking, how on earth are these lot supposed to be considered for promotion? And you see it again. They stood there, not even waving the arms these times. This time they just stood there in utter disbelief. And it's half time, and we're 2-0 down. It's literally unbelievable what I saw last night. Yeah,
that goal was pathetic, honestly. Like, there's I don't even know, 10, 15 seconds left until the referee maybe blows his whistle. Just hoof it up the pitch. It's 1-0. Get into the changing room, let Duff at them, and maybe we do stand a chance if we come back out at 1-0 down. But to give the ball away in that fashion, I thought Ben Wiles was reasonably positive throughout the first half. He had some all right moments down that left-hand side with Headley. But honestly, to give away the ball like that in the midfield, just a 5-yard pass to Joe Hodge, and he overhits it, and all of a sudden, again, we're on the back foot. As you said, Spencer hasn't got a clue where he is or where Hamilton is. Lets the ball run past him. All of a sudden, Hamilton's got it. And like you said, we're 2-0 down. And again, I think that's just the defeatist mentality maybe in our squad. It's 30 seconds, 15 seconds till half time, and we've given up, and we're prepared to just be sloppy. We're not fighting. Blackpool, they sensed they could score a second, and they came at us. 15 seconds to go. Who cares? We'll press them. We'll get at them. And yeah, just embarrassing.
And you expect a reaction at halftime, don't you? You really, really, really do expect a reaction, because especially when we found ourselves trailing at halftime twice in the space of not even 4 days, you expect a reaction. And they nearly scored a third. In the 46th minute, Jordan Gabriel, he hits the outside of the net. And at that point, you're thinking, oh my God, we're going to get absolutely slaughtered here. Before he hit that ball, I think Blackpool put 10 or 15 passes together, which their fans were olaying in the 45th, 46th minute. That shows what they thought of us, and I was laughing. I was genuinely laughing. I was thinking like this cannot be happening. It's such a sickener, really, and it's a marker really of where we're at as a team. I know we all thought that we're not going to be on the same level as Birmingham and Wrexham. They love momentum and they've got quality players who've actually played with each other for 1, 2, or 3 seasons now. So they're a decent unit and they thrive off being the underdog. We say we do, but I don't think we actually do anymore. That was all just a Premier League thing and times before that. I wouldn't even say no. I wouldn't even say there's that mentality anymore. I mean, Leesy's really put it out there in the press, hasn't he? I don't think that was explained the greatest, but I also think that was maybe taken the wrong way. I see where he's coming from, but I don't think you go out there and say what he said. But that's another conversation. But yeah, we're nearly 3-0 down, and after that, I think there was slight improvement. We didn't concede. That's always a bonus. Duff talks about winning halves of football. We've drawn that half, but I wouldn't say it was as bad as the first half. But again, you can't really get much worse, can you?
No, at that point, it's 2-0. Blackpool have presumably been sent out there to control the game, and Bruce has probably just told them, just don't throw it away. And they've certainly stopped pressing us as much as they were in the first half. I think, yeah, we did look better. But as I said, 2-0, different game. They controlled the midfield. That's the main point, really, for me. I think that's where we lack in creativity. Evans and Morgan were just all over our midfield. We couldn't touch them. And I think, I tweeted about this after the game. I think we need more bodies in the middle of the pitch. There's no point starting players like Kane, Wiles, Hodge, if you're just going to play Hodge in front of the defence and then have a huge gap, and then Kane and Wiles like shadowing the strikers and shadowing the wing backs, almost playing as half wingers. It just doesn't work because we can't string any passes together that aren't down the sides. Like, we need to be able to play through the middle of the pitch, and if we can't do that, we're not going to get anywhere.
That's the thing. I completely agree, and I'm actually quite glad you brought that up because the past definitely 2 or 3 games, maybe not at Bolton, but the past 3 home games, I think that has been so apparent to me. I mean, on away days, you're not really inclined to assess the game as technically as you are from your seat. You're there every week. There's a better view. That hole in midfield is so apparent because, like you said, you've got whoever it is, Hodge. That's becoming a really tongue twister for me. I don't know why, and then you've got the 2 others, and it's normally Wiles and someone else. They're not even behind the striker. They're like behind where our kind of wing back should be when we're playing really high. They're hiding. They're hugging the flank. Especially Wiles. He literally, I don't know why he's done this, and we were discussing it last episode as well. He's hugging the touchlines, and there's such a gap between where the French should be and where midfield should be, and that's encouraging Longvik, who is very good at this, by the way. This is no criticism to Nigel, because past 2 games, along with his Wolves teammate, he's been the best player. He's having to force either the long ball or do what Colwell used to do and completely break the lines. And when you get caught out, and he hasn't yet, but if he gets caught out, then the other team, that's an overload. And you're talking, you're conceding goals there. He shouldn't have to start the attack. It was good when Colwell was doing it because we had a plan, we had a system, and we actually were playing good football. But right now, I don't think it's the wisest of ideas for one of our centre halves to start everything off for us. He shouldn't have to be doing that. It should be the role of midfielders to get the foot on the ball, get the head down, and drive, and help Karoma, Marshall. I was going to say Sonogo then, Ladapo. He played like Sonogo last night. Whoever is up front, they should be helping him out. It's funny I've said Sonogo because let's talk about personnel. And yeah, Freddie didn't have the best night, did he?
No, not at all. I mean, you said it to me before we started recording. Sometimes you didn't know whether he was, passing it or trying to control it, and I don't think he did either. Sometimes the ball was just like bouncing off him, and he was, he looked lost. I tweeted a couple of days prior to the game, sort of saying how Ladapo should come into the team to offer some aerial threat. And I mean, did he win a header last night? I don't think so.
Oh my gosh, no, I wouldn't say he did. I think Karoma won more headers than he did.
He won a flick on, didn't he, Karoma? Yeah.
Yeah, no, he definitely did. I think with Ladapo, he was either trying to back himself into the defender so much that he completely lose balance, hence his awful touch, or he wouldn't even jump. He would not even jump. He's massive. He's absolutely huge. I don't know how tall he is, but the size of him, he's built like a brick. And it's funny though, because we saw against Northampton, he actually looked quite sharp when the ball was played to him, not through him, more direct into his feet. He did look slightly better because he could turn, he could spin off the defender, and he's actually quite quick, quicker than I thought. Now, us hoofing the ball to him, although he's such a big lad, and it's clear that he's been doing that in his career to date. He's been holding up the ball and hoping that other players run off him. It did not work, but I don't think either we did establish that it's not worked, or we were just stubborn enough to carry on with it. I actually thought he was going to get hooked at half time, and I was quite shocked to see him come out for the second half. Obviously, like you said, Steve Bruce has done so well to tell his players to manage the game, to go down, to play ugly, basically. It's not pretty to watch, especially as an opposition fan. But the game management they implemented was perfect, and it really dried up what remaining service whoever was up front got.
Yeah, you talk about Ladapo winning flick-ons, but even if he did win a flick-on or something, there's no one there running in behind him to receive it. And Karoma, obviously, he's adapting his game and he's still learning. But he's put on a bit of muscle, hasn't he, Karoma? A bit of muscle, a bit of size, and he seems to have lost a little bit, I think, of that kind of explosive pace that he once had. Obviously, he's gained a lot of strength, and that probably does serve him well. But in terms of sort of the big man, little man pairing, Ladapo winning flick-ons, Karoma running in behind, it's not going to work. We need Ladapo and Karoma receiving the ball in between the posts and scoring tap-ins, scoring headers like Karoma has done a couple times this season, goals like that. And I think it all starts with our wing backs. If we can't get the ball out to our wing backs and they can deliver crosses into the box like they were doing earlier on in the season, we're not going to stand a chance of really scoring a goal. And I think that's maybe where now Duff has to answer a question and think about his system, because at the rate it's going, we're not going to score many goals, and it's just going to be more and more of a struggle until the inevitable comes and the fans turn against Duff and he gets sacked, and we're back to how Huddersfield Town has been for the past few years.
Yeah, I can definitely echo that sentiment. With regards to the wing backs, there's completely nothing. There's nothing in the wings at all going forward, going back. I'm not sure what game it was, but you had Sorensen bombing down that wing, and he's put, I think it was either two assists in the same game or one after each other. He put a really mean ball in. I think Karoma finished it off with his head, and another one, I think he pulled it back to Wiles. There was absolutely none of that last night. There was none of that against Northampton. There's not really been any of that for a fair chunk of games now, and it's definitely confidence. I think Miller and Sorensen are 100% our best wing backs. Sorensen's not really had any interference. Duff's kind of let him play. On the other side, it's been chopping and changing, doing whatever But whoever does take that other side, it's not worked at all. Sorensen's definitely not performing as he started the season, performing so well. But as a wing back in the modern game, you're expected to do so much, and sometimes I think it's definitely the case at Town that you forget to do the basics. And that's maybe where we strip it back and we go to a 4. And maybe if Helic doesn't start the next game, it could be a decent time to try and implement that, because you've got Lees, you've got Longvik, and you've got Helic. You can only fit 2 of them into a back 4, really, can't you?
Yeah.
So, and then you've got Spencer on the right and probably Headley on the left. Helic sits out and we implement a 4-back. Do you think that's something that needs to happen?
Yeah, certainly, because I think, if you implement a 4-back, that probably allows you to also put more bodies in midfield. Maybe, I think, Duff said we tried 3 formations yesterday. Obviously, we tried the 3-back, and we seemed to try a sort of 4-3-3/4-2-3-1 thing as well. I think, was it at Swansea? I think Duff did try and use the 4-2-3-1. And I would quite like to see that, get Hodge and maybe Kane or even Hogg, a bit of organisation in there, sitting as a double pivot, maybe get Wiles in behind a striker and give him a bit more space to roam all around the pitch. Obviously, there's a problem. We don't really have any wingers at the club. Karoma can play out there. Marshall has previously played out there, so maybe that's a possible winger pairing you could try, or even, as you suggested to me earlier, Sorensen out wide. But I think you've just got to try something else against Reading, because clearly whatever we're doing at the moment isn't working, and managers have to be adaptable and ready to change. Otherwise, life moves on. Teams get wins and you don't, and you're going to struggle.
That's the reality of it. I think, I think we've pretty much gone on about Blackpool. It's far from ideal. It's far from ideal. There's players who really need to wake up. The manager needs to realise what situation we are in. I'm sure he will, and I think that was shown by the lack of personnel shown for media last night, and how long it took for Duff and I think it was Ladapo to speak to the club. I think it was about an hour, which is unheard of. I think BBC Radio Leeds went home with nothing. I don't think they interviewed a player or a manager. There was no coverage on their side. Now that shows to me that they were getting an absolute pasting in there. I think they need to realise this league's not going to be a walk in the park completely. I think the fans have realised that, and this brings us on to the next point where we can probably wrap up with this, is the reaction. There's a lot of reaction, as there always is with our fan base. I'll put it out there and say there's no fan base like ours, but I'm sure every fan base has their moments, like ours definitely does. Overreaction or fair?
Overreaction for me, honestly. I think the past 2 games, and for the cup games, you can look past, right? I think Duff said it at the time, like, you can look past those games, like the chances to experiment, and we're still working things out, whatever. The past 2 matches in the league have not been good enough, and no one's trying to say that they have. However, we're 7 games in to the season. It's such a long season. We've got a hell of a lot of new players at the club. Yeah, we probably would have liked a bit more of a overhaul, and you can point the finger at Cartwright, but at the end of the day, at the end of the transfer window, I think a lot of Town fans are saying, yeah, like, we've got everything we need. We've got, especially when Ladapo came in, like, nice, now we've got another striker. We've got our midfielders, we've got our centre-backs. But as soon as it starts going wrong, everyone's back pointing the finger again. And I think everyone just needs to breathe, just take a minute and just believe that. It sounds cliche and it's whatever, but you've just got to believe that it'll be all right, because at the moment, yeah, we've lost a few games, but we're not expected to lose. And that's what Tom Lees was saying in the press conference. Like, you cannot win every game. Birmingham won't win every game. Wrexham won't win every game. We won't win every game. But you've just got to win at some point. And I think that's what fans forget, is that just because we've lost a few games, it doesn't mean we're never going to win again. We could turn up at Reading and win 4-0. Like, football's crazy, and it's a roller coaster of ups and downs. But I just say believe. Don't cry about it so much. It'll all be all right.
I like that Terrier spirit, man. Terrier spirit. That's that true Terrier spirit. Something that the club like to implement, and hopefully we will see a bit more of that down at Reading if they behave themselves and don't chuck tennis balls on the pitch. I'd agree with that. It's a long season. It's funny because we've just sat here for 35 minutes and 46 seconds and said everything bad about what's going on in the club right now. But believe us, we really, really want, the best. And we're not seeing the best right now. We've probably seen some of the best in the past 7 games, and that's why we're so frustrated. We were dealt a great hand at the start of the season, winning our first 4 games in a row, and no one could really touch us. And then we kind of woke up and we're in League One, where it's not plain sailing. And HMS, whatever the league, it's been bumpy. I don't think we've hit the iceberg, and we'll continue to sail. And hopefully by May next year, we'll be sailing into the Championship. And pardon the pun, but that's what I hope happens.
Yeah, we can hope, and that's all you can do in football. Hope, because no one knows what's going to happen from one week to the next. As I just said, it's a roller coaster, isn't it? And you've just got to trust that. From what Duff's been saying, he knows that wasn't good enough, and Saturday wasn't good enough, and he's not going to let them rest until we are good enough. So just back the manager, back the players, and hopefully everything will be fine.
Yeah, be right, as we say. But I think that's all I've got to say. And yeah, fingers crossed for Saturday and beyond, mate.
Yeah, up the town.